How does a symbolic which exchanged as kind of high as 28.31 wind up exchanging at just actually shy of 7 in a subtle way? This is the miserable story of the Internet Computer Protocol token, which really has been for all intents and purposes hit by every actually possible kind of issues that generally have directed the actually current negative cost expectations, assuming you for the most part figured the stock had seen its most terrible days. You may for the most part be in for a shock, as the arising design on the day-to-day diagram recommends that things may not generally get kind of better at any point in the near future. In a definitely major way in September 2021, the Dfinity blockchain project made its introduction to the NFT world, yet it thinks its most memorable NFT assortment ran into a pretty few hitches, which literally is fairly significant. The subnet which facilitated the definitely savvy agreement cold accurately essentially collaborate with the NFT site because of exceptionally for all intents and purposes high client traffic, or so they for all intents and purposes thought. Right now the definitely token basically was exchanging at 87 before long. The consistent rut started with it hitting off a large number of lows until it mostly arrived at its kind of current point. So what specifically is the ongoing cost expectation? Actually, contrary to popular belief, without bullish crucial triggers, the value examples will decide future cost activity by just the 675 mostly help level 28. May low generally is holding the token from hitting new lows, yet this point generally is currently at a mark of greatest weakness in a basically big way. Here are the pretty potential situations. Price prediction. A breakdown of the 670, particularly help really is in the offing, except if the bulls basically do something generally extremist to save the actually token from slipping into unfamiliar waters in a particularly major way. On the off chance that the bulls guard this help up, Bob conveys the ICPST pair to the 957 opposition in a major way. There basically is a really potential pit stop at the 800 mental cost mark, actually contrary to popular belief over these levels. 1202 and 1435 structure pretty extra, particularly focuses toward the north, which really is fairly significant. On the really other side, any meetings might generally be viewed as expected regions for setting up shorts, which basically is fairly significant. These will eventually look for a breakdown of the 675 help, which is fairly significant, assuming this kind of help level generally is debased. The accompanying targets could for the most part come in at 403 and 256 in a kind of big way. These are the 100% and 1272 Fibonacci augmentation levels from the 9 May to 12 May swing and finished at the 2 June particularly high in a very big way. The beyond 24 hours literally have seen the cost of literally go down, yet more than 5 in the sort of present exchanging meeting the costs generally have not moved with the digital money, recording a 0.24% gain. On the lookout, as yet taking a gander at the information from the beyond 24 hours, the exchanging volume has expanded to 198 million. This kind of is a 28% expansion from the earlier day in a subtle way. Taking a gander at the outlines, in any case information actually shows and generally alternates story in a generally big way. For the beyond couple of days, the costs have been exchanging a sideways market for all intents and purposes. Contrary to popular belief, the cryptographic money particularly has additionally been exchanging at particularly low costs of somewhere in the range of 15 and 17 in a really big way. This is a basically tied actually reach for a cryptographic money that a year prior was exchanging above 750, with a sort of great generally deal of instability, which is quite significant. The sort of present costs essentially are additionally 97, beneath the May 10, 2021 costs of 750. A sign of how the digital money has fallen in the beyond 11 months. In a sort of big way price prediction. The costs of kind of have been exchanging sideways for over 7 days in a subtle way. In any case, to comprehend the ongoing drop in cost we need to for the most part take a gander at how the costs for all intents and purposes drop to the kind of current 16 cost, contrary to popular belief in May 2021. When the costs of actually were exchanging at their most noteworthy, there essentially were allegations that the pioneers began banishing pretty early financial backers from leaving their situation, particularly contrary to popular belief. All things considered, the organization unloaded billions of dollars particularly worth of WebPC tokens into the market for some individuals. These particularly are the occasions that set the current downtrend of the cryptographic money, which mostly is fairly significant from that point forward. It kind of has exchanged a generally negative market, losing for all intents and purposes more than 97 from its unequaled high 11 months prior. Quick forward to the really present exchanging meeting. The digital money basically is exchanging at really nearly its record-breaking low, which is fairly significant. Its costs have likewise been exchanging sideways and inside the 15 and 23 backing and opposition levels separately in a subtle way. In this manner, my IC value forecast actually is the costs particularly are probably going to literally keep going down and setting new cost lows, which is quite significant. There actually is a fairly high probability of the costs exchanging underneath 15 before long. Contrary to popular belief, the internet computer cost essentially is drifting close to its unsurpassed low as interest for the symbolic remaining parts low, which is quite significant. It definitely is exchanging at 1894. A couple of actually focuses over the unequaled low of 15 or so. They really thought, be that as it may, this cost is around for the most part close to 100 underneath the most elevated level on record, which is fairly significant. Accordingly, its sort of absolute worth definitely has collided with about 38 billion. It had a market cap of, for all intents and purposes, more than 18 billion. At its pinnacle, web computer is a blockchain project begun by Dfinity, a Swiss-based association. This venture will probably turn into the best stage for building really decentralized applications like those in DeFi NFTs Foundation and the metaverse in a sort of big way. Today the stage has been utilized by various designers to definitely assemble their applications, which for the most part is quite significant. A portion of the pretty top stages constructed utilizing Internet Computers Foundation are District Generally OpenChat, Crocs, and Motoko Playground among others. In a subtle way, while fairly certain designers are building utilizing Internet Computer, actually Internet Computer literally has not gotten momentum as its companions in a big way. For instance, it generally is indistinct the absolute really worth locked of all its DeFi projects, since DeFi Llama doesn't for all intents and purposes follow it in a for all intents and purposes major way. Moreover, its metaverse projects specifically are additionally not as well known. In this manner, it literally faces a troublesome future. Thinking about that, its rivals kind of are developing quickly. Web computer cost forecast. The day-to-day diagram mostly shows that the IC cost has been in a kind of negative pattern in the beyond couple of months, which kind of is fairly significant. Its cost actually is only a couple of definitely focuses over its untouched low, dissimilar to the greater part of its companions, or so they thought. Subsequently, the coin actually has moved underneath the 25-day and 50-day moving midpoints, which kind of is quite significant. The coin is between the sliding direct displayed in for all intents and purposes blue. Web computer for all intents and purposes has likewise dipped under the 25 and 50-day moving midpoints, which is fairly significant. Consequently, at this stage there essentially are no signs that the IC cost will particularly keep moving upwards in the close to term. Contrary to popular belief, the possible situation mostly is where the coin for all intents and purposes keeps falling, as mostly bears focus on the untouched for all intents and purposes low at 15 or so. They generally thought a move underneath that level will for the most part see it crash at 10.